necessarily by what they are doing at that time, by what the job description is.
Hello, Mr. Destiny.
Hi, Coco. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. It's a new day. Looking forward to the day. By the way, I like your shoe.
Thank you so much. I like the color of your shirt. It looks good on you.
Thank you.
So, in our last session, we got to know who you are beyond the title. Today, we want to know where you were born and how did your childhood shape or influence your perspective on life.
So I was born in Auchi. Auchi is a town. It's a small town in Edo State. I'm from Edo State. I grew up in Auchi, and I actually enjoyed my childhood experience, to say the least. I usually joke a lot about. Sometimes when I talk to my wife, I usually joke about kids of these days not having the kind of experience that we had when we were young. You know, the kind of activities that we engaged in as play and all of that. So for me, my childhood has left a lasting memory in me, especially the experiences. And I would say my mom played an important role in all of that. I grew up in a Christian home. Now, when I say Christian home, I'm not talking about just the in quote Christian home. I grew up with all the Christian values. I have been a worker in the church as early as 7. I started playing musical instruments as early as 7. I think I learned the keyboard at that age. So I've always grown, in a church setting. My mom was always, going to church and all of that. She was the one that taught us how to pray, who God is, and all those, Christian values and all of that. So I would say those things has actually shaped who I am as a man today. And also I could remember my childhood experience going to school. I would say I'm someone who is very competitive. I remember those days when I was in school, in my primary school days. I was always one of the best in my class. The only time I came out I came out short when I took 7th in class, was when I was in primary 3. I could remember that. I can never forget that experience. I was in primary 3 then, and it was in 2nd term, to be precise. And when I got back home and I told my mom, "Hey mom, I took 7th, blah blah blah," the kind of beating I received, that day, I will never forget. So the essence of the beating was just to correct. My mom was someone she was a teacher at the time, so she was someone who made sure that we had the right educational values. So the beating at the time was to remind me that this is not who you are. You have gone past primary 1, primary 2, and every time you see that you took 1st or 2nd. So what happened? Why are you taking 7th? And so it was a reminder for me. So the next time I got back to my winning ways of taking 1st and all of that. So my childhood experience actually shaped my perspective around spirituality and education. And my mom is the architect of those two aspects of my life. She was the one that taught me how to be very competitive when it comes to in class, how to be excellent. I remember she was the one that bought me books. She was the one that taught me what reading is, and all of that. So these are the childhood experiences that I still have today that have shaped who I am as a person. And those things, I can still see traces of those things in the things I do today, especially when it comes to my educational pursuits and my quest for knowledge. So I'm really glad I passed through those experiences.
Thank you, Mr. Destiny, for sharing bits of your childhood with us. So what take-home lesson do you have for the audience from this session?
So I will say embrace who you are, regardless of where you grew up from. There's definitely something there that that will define who you become. There's one aspect of us in our childhood that will definitely define who we are. So that's what I would say. Embrace who you are and where you grew up from.